in the previous movie, I showed you how we did this very simple drawing illustration for the podcast/blog that my wife and I do about James Joyce's Ulysses. I'll put the link to that below if you want to see how we drew this from scratch and the passage from Ulysses it was based on. It was left in a quick state because I was working really fast. So let's make sure we're working with a shaggy brush. Basically, we're on a little advertising boat in the Liffey. It's going to go to like a lower opacity. I just want the Liffey to look like, basically in the body of the text, Leopold Bloom looks into the Liffey and he just thinks about it basically as a sewer, because it is. It's an open sewer and you wouldn't want to be drinking any of it. So when I'm doing these kind of illustrations, I like to give myself, I tend to get precious, and I have a lot of things to do. I'm lazy. So what I like to do is to just give myself like a deadline on these drawings. Stops me from getting precious and working 7 hours on one of them, because they're just meant to be very quick illustrations anyway. So, and I have a bad habit of being too tight. So, the deadline, there's a old saying, work expands to fill the time allocated to it. So if you don't, Cyril Northcote Parkinson, he was a British civil servant in the 1950s. He did a lot of aphorisms that I wish people would read, because they would explain why so many things are crap today. Anyway, I'm just going to very quickly blob in some of this. Let's put that below. I might get rid of that later. Anyway, what we have is the different layers. We have the Liffey lines here. You have the boat, advert, and the seagull. And the seagull is doing a big poop on the thing. So let's start tying this down a little bit. I'm going to use this Rooney inker brush here. And I think I like to get like about a 30% opacity. Maybe hint that there's a little eye there. My line weight was a little light, so we want to just darken it a bit. And again, the bird is doing a big squirt down the ad. And Leopold Bloom, it should be noted in James Joyce's Ulysses, works in advertising. He's a bit of a madman. James Joyce was fascinated by adverts. They run all throughout the text. People go, oh, I've been reading Ulysses. But it's got a lot of pop culture from the time in it. Can be very often difficult to figure out. A lot of those references are kind of dead now. But it would be like somebody writing a book today and putting in like famous TikTokers and YouTubers and all that. Influencers, we might call them. So let's see, there's the boat. The line weight's not looking too bad. So remember too, people might be seeing it at this size when they're going up the Instagram. So I do want to darken it a little bit more. And I'm actually drawing on the wrong layer now. I don't care. I'm probably going to flatten, just to simplify my life. I'm going to flatten all this onto one layer and then proceed with the coloring. Otherwise things get really confusing. So I will you probably would want to, before you flatten these, make a backup folder. So I'll do that too. Okay. And we can always thicken this line later if I think it's a little wishy-washy. The other thing we can do is maybe add, like inner lines like this. I think it's looking too simple, too vectory almost. Hold down Shift and click, and you can make straight lines really quick. And okay, I'm going to flatten these now. Before I do that, let's copy this group. So this group will be the line. I'll copy it first. Duplicate group, backup, layers. In case I do something dumb, I'm going to hide it under there so I don't get it again. And then just merge layers, line. Now I can more easily go in and do stuff like this. And you can also get nice effects by cutting into the line with a shaggy brush. Creates nice effects and can clean up some blobs as well if you want to do that. And that already looks a little nicer. Let's continue that line under the billboard. So again, I mentioned in the previous movie, this was an advert that was floating on the Liffey, and Leopold Bloom thinks, what a clever man to pollute the river with stinking adverts. But the idea being that the ad was free, like you didn't have to pay a billboard fee. So I would guess somebody figured out very quickly, let's put a stop to that, because otherwise the entire river will become a floating advert. I think there were ideas a while back of turning constellations of satellites into big adverts in the sky, which, welcome to our technological dystopia. God. Anyway, let's see here. Okay, right. So we have this line layer. There's that reference layer. I can go to that. And there's the very quick attempt at like some texture. Let's leave that out for now. I'm going to make a mask layer. We'll call this one white. I'm going to clean up a little blob there. It's annoying me. Go to that first. Okay, now let's go to the layer here. Quick and lazy way, we can hit W or select outside of the line layer and then invert that, but it's too messy. So what I'm going to do is just lasso this whole thing. So I do a lasso, that's this tool here. Holding down the shift key, you're just adding to it. If I overshoot, you can undo. You can also subtract by holding down the Alt Option key if you've never used this method. It's very easy to select a straight line. You go from one end of the straight line to the other and do that. You could do this in any program. I saw somebody using this in Harmony. I thought that'll work in After Effects. Any other, in Photoshop, Flash, Animate CC, any program that uses a lasso tool. It's a nice little shortcut, so you don't have to be doing this. Okay, so we just do that. And it means too, you're not having to go up here and go to the polygonal lasso tool. Okay, and then back to just the wobbly line here. Oh, stop. Stupid thing. Undo. Okay. Oh, the seagull, obviously. He's kind of the star of the show here. If you haven't been to Dublin, the seagulls own the city. It's really hard to express just how noisy they are and how dominant they are. If you go to Stephen's Green and you have an ice cream, you better keep that ice cream really close because they will snatch it out of your hands. So in this passage, Bloom actually buys a little bun and feeds the gulls with it. So you can blame him. Okay, white, we'll go into the white layer, blob, there we go. And now we can bring into color. This is super quick. I hold down Alt or Option and drag to duplicate the layer. There. Hold down Alt or Option and then you can nest it. There. Now it's masked to this. You'll see this now if I right click here and go Blending Options, Color Overlay. And let's start with brown. I'm going to make the leafy sort of green. Okay. So let's just call this one wood. And we'll put the white back on. So one quick way to do this, you could like just individually paint each layer. The problem with doing that is you're kind of duplicating a lot of it. I find a quick way of doing this is to subtract, because every time you subtract a layer, there's a little less to chop. So let me show you what I mean. Let's subtract let's see, whatever areas we want to chop off here. I'm going to take the advert sign off. And that's a quick one because it's straight lines. So here we go. And I'm not going to, let's see, I'm going to focus on holding down the Alt or Option key now. We'll subtract the feet of the gull and the line of poo. So the area that we're going to extract from this is just a sign. Now you can see the marching ants. Control C, Control X, Control Shift and V to paste in place. Hold on Alt or Option and nest that again. Right click, Blending Options, Color Overlay, and let's make this a color that will stand out better. A little blue. Okay. And this one will be sign. So now you can see we have the wood layer and we have the sign layer. So let's say we want to extract the seagull now. It's so easy, I don't have to do anything other than this. Control C, Control X, Control Shift V. Put the gull on top. Gull's going to be white anyway, but let's make him like maybe a slight grey so we can just see him against the background a little bit. can make them pure white later if we want. Because I want the poo to be the whitest thing on there anyway. So let's do that. And to see which layer we're taking off here. Can be hard to see. Control C, Control X, Control Shift V. Poop. Right click, blending options, and we just make sure, and it should be white anyway. Where are you? Color overlay. White. Normal. Okay. Now the line layer is on top, so what we're seeing is the let me see here. The line layer itself is now going on top of the poop layer, and I want the white of the poop to obscure it. So what I'm going to do is make like a little clipping mask here. It's a clipping mask. What's that called there? Come on. Oh, stupid thing. A vector mask? That's not what it is. Anyway, who cares? So let's go to the brush thing here, hard, and I think if I paint in black, there we go, it'll hide anything there. Now it's non-destructive, so if I want to delete that, I can. I'm shift clicking to hide it, but let's unhide it. We can also smudge it a little bit, so if we want to soften the line, if I control click, you can see the selection area, and if I alt shift click or alt option click, you can see that's that layer there. I can right click and delete it if I don't like it, but that's nice because then if I make a change later on, I can recover the line. Like I'm not having to lose any data there. It's nice. If you have a client from hell,
could you change this? Could you move it a little bit that way? Oh, I need to ask somebody about this. Oh, we had a look at it and we thought, can you make it?
If you have one of those clients, and God help you, but you probably will at some point, you need to protect yourself in advance from that kind of stuff. I'm looking at you, Disney. So a lot of people like that in there, and you have to basically give yourself protection, like so you have backups, and the ability to make changes without, like, basically preempt the kind of crap and the pixel pushing nonsense that you're going to get. So anyway, there's the lovely done. Let's see here. I might want to add like a color to the trousers. I could chop them off, but let's just make a new layer over that and we'll just paint them on. We can also do that. So I'm going to get this like little shaggy brush, put it on a really low opacity, and let's just work in an actual color just to show a different process. Make it sort of brown. And it's not, oh, there we go, wrong layer. So you can just paint it in like that too. Joyce had an obsession with numbers, number 11, over and over and over again. Mad into numerology. K, when my wife and I were talking about this episode, I realized as we were recording, K is the 11th number of the alphabet, so it's 1111. And the number 11, the book was published in 1922, two 11s. So yeah, it's, and I think Bloom's son dies at the age of 11. Like the number runs all the way through it, quite deliberate. Joyce was very interested in whether he believed it or not. He kind of was sort of tangentially or reasonably closely involved with some Hermetic types in Dublin, A.E. Russell, that kind of people. He knew Yeats as well, of course. I think he kind of made fun of a lot of it, but he definitely enjoyed playing with it. Anyway, wood. I could put a shadow layer in there, but let's just go Control C, Control X, Control. Come back. The wood layer, Control. That's the sign layer. Control C, Control X, Control Shift V. Right click, blending options, color overlay, and I'll make this like a truer, darker blue. Okay, sign dark. Okay, just keep doing like that. Basically, that's it. This is not the greatest drawing I've ever done, but it's okay. I think it's fine. The other thing I can do is make a shadow layer as a quicker way of doing some of these inside things. And let's just go to a hard, make it black. And I could take the shadow down and just do like multiple like that. But I can, I'm just going to go with like a full one, solid, and then just do this. And you can see how quickly you can put one of these images together. And you can make the blend mode multiply. That way it won't gray out anything. It'll respect the darker colors that it's overlapping with. I might put a different shadow layer in on this side. Maybe not as dark, we'll see. The other thing that we can do is make a light layer, LT. See my naming conventions, very short, concise, uppercase for them so that they really stand out. So I'll pick white, and this time I'll bring the opacity down to this. Now if we go in really close, and let's say I'll go over that line, if we go to blending modes like overlay, I think it might be better. Soft light's nice. Let me take the value up to 100. That way when I draw over the line, see, it's lightening the line, so we want one that maybe doesn't do that. Soft light, maybe they all do that. One of them didn't. Come back to me. No, they all sort of do it. That's on. I thought there was one that didn't. Okay, hang on a second here. LT. I think we'd probably just go with soft light is nice. Like if I compare that to normal, for example, there's normal, and it kind of does definitely gray out that line. So overlay does a very similar kind of thing. I think soft light might be better. Let's go with soft light for now. We can always change it later. And with soft light, because it is a much more subtle overlay, we'll put it to 100%. And then any areas that we want light, we just do this. We can have a different overlay light layer too, because if we want one layer to be stronger, another one to be weaker. And this way too, we can control the entire thing. Okay, might even do this one. Let's do that. I'm going to make another shadow layer, and this one will be a little less dramatic. So this up one is, let's make it 44. Let's make the opacity on this one less, like 22. Make it black. Brush. And you see, as I'm drawing, like you can't see anything outside that area because we're being masked to the white mask area. So it makes it much quicker to actually work. Let me put this opacity back up to 44 because I just want like a solid block. And if I think it's like looking a bit dark, maybe we take it down a bit. Now I can control it through that. That's it. Let's see, we have the Gunji Liffey. I want there to be like a dark greenish sewagey thing, so let's go blending options. Color overlay. What does green sewage look like? Yeah, something like that. Let's make it a bit less dark. So I want the boat to be the tonal area of primary interest. So we have the overlay of the surface, which again was just like a first pass. We can color it though. Color overlay. Make it dark green. Normal. Say water surface. Back to this. Shaggy. So the other thing we can do. Too dark. Way too dark. And because it's on layers, I can just work completely behind that. This thing here is a little flyer. It's in the previous episode, Bloom has picked up a pamphlet by a religious lunatic, a man called Dowie, who believed he was the third Elijah. After Elijah, Jesus, he was number 3. And he ran basically like a Ponzi scheme religion, founded a little town in Illinois called Zion, which actually still exists. It's a little normal suburb now, but he did have it going for a while. Had a temple burned to the ground. So interesting little footnote. Now Ulysses is riddled with these sort of stories that you pick up when you begin reading it and analyzing it. So that's what my wife spends a lot of her time doing. It's very interesting. Okay, hopefully that's all right. I'm not in love with this, so I, would reserve the right to change it, but let's zoom out. I think let's add a lighter color. We do want to get some reflections in there. And maybe bring the opacity up a bit, otherwise we're hacking away too much. So the purpose of these illustrations is they will accompany the article, and they go up on Instagram, so they help people to find the podcast. Let's not put white there, because I'm going to put a white for the paper there. So I'm just going to add a bit more white. Like a different kind of pattern layer. I'm most fascinated by the kind of ripples that you see, the patterns you see on water. I'm not really a natural artist when it comes to this kind of stuff, so I always kind of make a point of trying to observe it. There we go. That's looking better actually, just with those little white spots, right? So let's do little spirals. Okay. The trick with it is not to think too much. I tend to be an overthinker, so for me that kind of chaotic design that is often required to make like a nice natural wave or water, something I have to loosen up, and that comes with a lot of that comes with speed. Like it's just like, don't overthink, like just lose yourself in the moment, man, like that kind of hothead kind of stuff. Okay, let's zoom out. I think that's not too bad. I might put a shadow on the seagull, so let's do that too. I'm going to put that on a separate layer. Shadow, gull, black again, and make it like 30 something. Make it hard. I could use a soft shadow too if I was going for like a sort of a Roger Rabbit-y effect. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to take it down. And the nice thing too, if you want to go to like a really low opacity, you can build this kind of stuff up and get way more subtle effects. And the lower the opacity is, the more subtle you can make it. Sometimes this can look a bit smeary to me, right? Like, I don't know. Let me take that back off. I'm just going to go back with a hard one. But you get the idea. Like, if you do want to do something that's a little more gradient oriented, that's how you do it. Let's take this down. The beak should probably have like a beak color too. Take that opacity down. I have like a nice smudge brush that I use, this kind of crayon thingy here. And it's worth playing around with different brushes too for this kind of stuff. That way you can get rid of some of these hard lines. And then it's like a nice halfway house. It isn't that kind of too fuzzy gradient, and you can kind of get these kind of jaggy transitions from one to the other. That's actually not too bad. And let's make a beak for the gull. And I'm just going to do gull beak. And I think, what's a seagull beak look like? I'm thinking I'm going to look it up on a different window here. And it would be great if browsers and software did what you wanted them to do. It's just a little note there for all you programmers out there. Images, yeah, so it's kind of like a yellowy beak, and it has sometimes like a little red tip. But I think like a yellowy beak color will work fine. So let's do this. Yes, very nice. Okay. And that's a nice little color pop right there. I said pop, I shouldn't say pop, because pop is lame. So let's do a little sort of smudgy. Let's see, where is the waterline? That's here. Okay. So I'm using the smudge too as well. Like there's no. Here I go. See, like without my deadline, I would just keep noodling this forever and ever and ever. But you could do that if you like. So one thing that we do, because this is an illustration and it's a nice little addition, is to make a vignette. Because obviously it kind of fades out to garbage out here. So just picking the soft brush, going over it. And then we pull that in, taking care to like, don't leave gaps here, because sometimes I've noticed with older images, you can miss the corner doing this. And you can create a nice, soft, oldie fashion, because Ulysses is set in 1904. So one thing that I often like to do with it was try to go for some older illustration styles or looks. Okay. I think the sign might be a weird color though, so let me, and here's the beauty of having all this on layers. Let's play with a different color for that. Let's see here. Maybe just gray. I'm not sure. Yeah, because look, they would have been using like a big white board. So would they have gone with weird colors? I'm not entirely sure. I think that creamy color. I don't want to go with just dead white though. Go with purple. Something that'll at least make the white sewage stand out just a little bit. And that dark blue shadow now might be a little too much. Let's take that down a bit. There we go. And I might take the green of the river up a little too. Yeah, just a little. Now I'm going to force myself to stop here, and please don't take this as the sum total of my artistic ability. It's just a very quick. I do like the seagull though. I think the seagull came out really well. Next is the sign. Blah, blah. Now it's too big. Take it down. Take the opacity down a bit, so we don't want that to distract from the image itself. So I'm not an egomaniac. Make it a bit smaller, so it looks like a part of it. My name looks like sewage. There we go. That'll do. So there is a further step. I'm going to save this first. And before I do the step I duplicate, I have done this before on the original and it hurts. So let's go in here, merge these layers, and now we go filter, very simple one, noise, add noise, because I don't like that too clean digital look. Let's take it up to 22 is too high. No, 15. Yeah, so now it looks like it's sort of printed on a rough surface. But this is the reason why I'm not doing with the vignette. I want the vignette to look perfect. I just want the image to look like it has a printed texture. Now we go layer, flatten image, image size. And I've been working on a fairly large image because that way my nice jaggy brushes have a bit of give on them. And now we scale it down. The other thing I could do, Control L, not Control L, Control M, no, Control U. We could play with the saturation a little bit, just bring it up slightly. I tend to desaturate a little bit. I don't know if I'm slightly colorblind or not. Let's bring, oh yeah, there we go. So I like that. File, save as, PNG, add PNG. And that'll be going up on our Instagram. That's it. This probably took about 20 minutes. And it's a good practice when you work to get into a flow like that. I've had creative blocks long ago. They're terrible. And the secret around a creative block is to get out of your own head and just work a little faster. And sometimes that'll work. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it does. But it certainly helped me at one point to stop obsessing about all the little stuff and just to get into like a relaxed flow with it. So there's a lot of garbage out there, a lot of horrible art advice going around on TikTok and other platforms that really disgust me, especially when you see them getting billions of views. If you're watching this, you're probably one of about 200 people. You're lucky to have found this channel because, at the risk of sounding like a little big-headed, I think I know a little bit more than some of the quote-unquote experts out there. I do actually get paid for it. If you have any questions, leave them below. Suggestions. I will be probably getting back to KRITA. I've done some KRITA courses before as well. They're also, if you look through the library, you'll see them in there. I also have a Patreon, and I've been putting not as much stuff as I'd like up there, but I'm getting back into doing stuff on there too, so bear with me. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Cheers and bye. I don't have a sponsor, so if you want to support my work and help it to continue, you can subscribe to my Patreon. I'm making new animation projects week by week and providing animation assets that can be downloaded and used. I also have a very large collection of tutorials in the LinkedIn Learning Library, covering animation and design, and I'm putting all the links to these in the notes below.